What is going on, you guys? I'm coming to you today with an Armada build, and we're going to try to use Bale Organa, and I haven't actually flown him before, so I started thinking about, like, what would be a real fun way to use Bale, and I think I came up with a list that I think is going to work. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to build the Bale Organa ship. So and the whole idea of this build is that I don't have to be first player. I don't need to be first player at all, but I want to be able to, and if I am, that's fine. So I'm going to try to put, a decent amount of activations in here to take advantage of being either first or second, but ideally I'll be second player because most people want to choose first player, and so I'm going to have some good objectives that are going to take advantage of it all. We're going with an MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser for the Bale Organa because I believe that we're going to get an awful lot of damage out of a ship like that, and hopefully I can set up to be last in, first out, like a 1-2 punch with a ship like this. So if I choose maybe third turn, I can get this guy going fast enough that I can set up a double arc and really do some nasty things. So that's kind of the goal, and we'll see if I'm right. All right, so what do we want on this MC-75? That's really the question. So I want this guy to basically have those black dice to wreak havoc, right? I'm looking for 1 kill turn for sure. So I'm going to use Ordnance Experts. I'm relying pretty much on black dice here. And we've got double Ordnance here, so I'm going to go with Assault Protons, and I'll go with External Racks. And the idea here is that if I can line up that shot, I'll move in and I'll be able to open up first, maybe with a double arc, 2 black on the side, 3 black on the front, plus a bunch of red and blue. We got external racks. We can pop a whole bunch of damage and then get out of there, and maybe line up, move in such a way that if we don't kill, maybe like a Star Destroyer or whoever, that we're just set up for them the following turn. I will go ahead and also I'm going to put Reinforced Blast Doors on here to help make sure that I stay alive during the initial approach. That's with 9 hull, I really like Reinforced Blast Doors. I think you have a pretty darn good chance of actually making it work, considering you got so many shields already, and I just really like it. I think that's a good way to go. So I did mention that I want to have a whole bunch of activations, right? Well, let's go ahead and start padding some activations. First off, I'm going to put 2 GR-75 medium transports. All right, that's what, like, the Rebels have the cheapest option for just adding extra activations. If I want this MC-75, let's say I'm second player, and I want this MC-75 to be able to go last, really want him to be able to go last, well, I'm going to need extra activations, and these are the cheapest ways to do that. I deploy, or I activate this guy, do nothing with it, activate this guy, do nothing with it, no problem, just to stall long enough to get in there. And you know what? I'm not going to have squadrons in this build, and I know there's a lot of people who disagree with that choice, but GR-75s do make fairly decent squadron hunters with their black die. I like having black dice against squadrons from a ship. You're getting a lot of likely damage, consistent damage out of them. All right, let's add some other cheaper ships. I'm going to go with CR-90s. And before I put the CR-90s in here, I'm going to have another big ship too. I'm actually going to run 2 big ships, but it's going to be an Ordnance Cruiser. It's actually going to be very similar to the one that Bale is on, and that's going to be my flagship. We're going to run Dodana. And I figured it was important to mention that we're running Dodana because of the Assault Proton Torpedoes. That's why I chose them over the higher damage concussions, because of Dodana. So if I do find myself up against a Star Destroyer, maybe I can cripple it before I can kill it. And that's always a nice thing to be able to do. So we've got Dodana over here on our flagship. Let's go ahead, and for the officer slot here, I am looking for high activation count. I'm going to put Strategic Advisor over here. This way I can pad that activation count while also having some really big nasty ships. I think that's going to work really well. We're already at 5 right now, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can already stall pretty good. I'm going to fit 2 more ships in this build after this, guys. Wait and see. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be a very high activation list. Making up, I have the obvious weakness of squadrons coming at me, But I'm hoping that the shields and the immense amount of hull on these MC-75s will allow me to outlast a bombardment of squadrons. And that's really the goal here, is just survive long enough to take out their carriers. And I think this is a list that might be able to do that. All right, we're going to go ahead and add... I'm going to go reinforced blast doors on this one as well, just to outlast. You know, getting that 3 hull back is just great. You know, you can easily make an argument for ECM, but I'm on a kick for reinforced blast doors lately, especially when I have that many hull. I can usually afford to take a really nasty shot. Well, for we're going to go with the same. We're going to go with assault protons, and we'll go with external racks for this one for our flagship as well. This gives us, you know, a pretty nasty ship that it does want to get up close and personal with you, but it can afford to wait. So I'm digging that one, and again, this one doesn't have to go first. That's the other MC-75, but I'm hoping that between 2 of them, I'll definitely have some big ships shooting all the way until the end. We've got room for 2. Now, we could add squadrons at this point. Our GR-75s would actually make great carriers. So if you're looking at maybe adopting this list, but you're not willing to go with no squadrons, you might add just 1 more. Let's add a CR-90 Corvette A with Jaina's Light. It can stay in safety, right? And we'll put TRC on it. Really solid ship right here. It's even though it's only got that 1 side arc, 1 red die on side arc, is always going to have Jaina's Light, so it's never going to be obstructed. Great all-around ship right here. Great extra shooter. At 354, you still have some room for a couple of squadrons, so maybe some A-wings, some Z-95s, something like that. You have a little bit of room, so you could put some squadrons in right here, and you're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is a very good, very good amount of squadrons, or a very good amount of activations. But I'm going all out. I'm trying to out-activate the already high out-activation lists. So we're going with the CR-90B, and the CR-90B is not going to have any upgrades other than Dodonna's Pride. Dodonna's Pride is a great title because it lets you just deal a face-up, so it's like having another assault proton on there. It's, you know, it's not the greatest thing ever because you do have to be at that medium range, but it's all decent. If you can just line up a double arc, it's great. It's a very fun ship to have. It's really good if you're able to be first player. So if you do happen to go up against somebody who wants to be second player, well, then you can take advantage of that with a ship like the Dodonna's Pride. You can totally do that. This puts me at 399. We're going to, you know what, I've got 1 more point, and since I'm really not trying to be first player, I will go ahead and just use every point available. I'm going to put the medical team here on Dodonna's Pride. This is actually, it's one of the greatest 1-point upgrades because it just has the chance to stop an entire crit. You know, it's for 1 point you can't beat it. It's a great option, and you always have it there, so it can make the difference to save your life or not, because it gets rid of that damage card altogether. So that's actually 400 points. We've done the whole list so far, but we have to do some objectives. And again, you can drop Dodonna's Pride if you want and just put squadrons on. You have that option. I like to go a little bit risky. I also think going without squadrons tends to speed up the game a little bit, so that's kind of an added bonus, and it all depends on your own personal preference. I think squadrons are at a pretty interesting place right now where you don't have to run heavy squadrons. And I did a video just recently talking about this. You don't have to run heavy squadrons to at least be viable, to have a competitive list. You do take a big risk that way, but well, if you run no squadrons, you take a big risk. But most people now, it's like instead of having to have like 6 or more squadrons, now it's more like, all right, your safe bet is like 2 or 4 squadrons is usually safe and well-rounded. So like the mandatory squadron presence has been shrinking a little bit, at least in my area. But you know, I've talked to some of you, and some of you have said that it's not really shrinking in your area. So you know, everybody's got a different setup. So I'd like to have some different options in these builds. So I think the option here is, if you want to drop that B for some squadrons, you go right ahead. You've got the carrier potential there with those GR-75s. They're perfect for that. So what are we going to do for our assault? Well, with high activation lists, I typically love to go with opening salvo. However, 2 of my ships can't shoot, so then I'm really left with 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm only left with 4 ships that can shoot. And opening salvo isn't going to be as helpful for some of these. Now, the MC-75s would get some advantage out of it. They're red dice would be able to turn, I could add black dice with opening salvo, I could re-roll them with Ordnance Experts, cause that crit at long range with a Dodonna crit at long range. I could totally do that. It's a definite option. However, I think I'll get more benefit out of Most Wanted in this case, because I'm going to get a whole lot more dice, and I can easily just throw it on a GR75 and fly that one away, and basically give my opponent nothing, whereas opening salvo could give my opponent a whole lot more, allowing him to take out my CR90s a little bit easier. So I'm going to go with Most Wanted. Kind of gives my opponent virtually nothing in this build, so I'm perfectly happy with that. For defense, since I have gone with no squadrons, I'm leaning towards Fleet Ambush. One of the things I enjoy about Fleet Ambush is it helps me lose the disadvantage of having 0 squadrons. Even though I do have a good deployment count, it's not great considering somebody with like 10 squadrons or so is going to have like 5 extra deployments. So if this forces the squadrons to go last, and it does potentially force us to be a lot closer than we'd like to be on round 1, but I'm okay with that considering I've got 2 MC-75s that want to be up close and personal, and I can fly maybe Jaina's Light behind them in safety and not have to worry about obstruction for her shots. So I'm definitely going to go with, did I say Fighter Ambush? I meant Ambush, Fleet Ambush. The word ambush is confusing me. Fleet Ambush. We set up that ambush zone. It forces all the squadrons to deploy last, and then and half of them. And I basically split my opponent's fleet in half, and I can divide and conquer that way. And if we're closer than I need to be, then I can adjust when I deploy, and I choose Bale's turn. I might choose turn 2 for Bale Organa. Maybe I'll just have him go first right away. But add navigation. Let's go ahead and I think for this one, it's pretty clear. Anytime I have like no squadrons and I'm going to suffer for deployment, I want one of these last 2, Solar Corona or Superior Positions. Superior Positions is more likely to help my opponent, though, if they get those squadrons and they can get those easy rear shots. So I'm going to go with Solar Corona in this case. And that is the build, guys. I will put a link to Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder down in the description below, but that is it, guys. Yes, so let me know what you think of this build in the description below. Do you think I'm being too risky here, not including squadrons? Which squadrons would you add if you dropped that CR90B? Do you think a couple of cheap Z95s would do the trick? I do like the Z95s. I think that they offer a little bit of a gamble, which excites me and makes the game more fun with those red dice. But then again, they're also cheap, and you can fit a lot of them in there. So I kind of lean towards those guys a little bit more often than not. Let me know what you think, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more giveaways in the coming week or 2. We're going to have some great ones coming up very soon. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.